PlayStation is making a big mistake.
Hey, that's what you said in the title.
I know. Over the last few years, I have fallen in love with my PlayStation consoles, as the 4 and 5 have provided tons of fantastic experiences that you can't find anywhere else in gaming. From high-budget AAA games like God of War Ragnarok to smaller, more narrow adventures like Kena and the Bridge of Spirits. Sony's single-player games have wowed players ever since they made the switch to narrative-focused titles, beginning with The Last of Us back in 2013. These immersive stories have had us laughing, crying, and crying again because how the hell do I cross this bridge? It doesn't make any sense! But over the last few years, PlayStation has made a few baffling decisions that all lead towards one point. PlayStation is turning to multiplayer, and it is a big mistake. First, let's uncover the receipts of PlayStation's investment into multiplayer so that I'm not arguing against the wall. Crap. The inciting move in all of this was Sony's big promise to deliver 10 PlayStation Studios live service games by 2026. Next came the addition of Bungie to seemingly solidify their commitment to this promise. After that, they invested a whopping $1 billion in the metaverse as a way to solidify their ties to this scene and to developer Epic Games. And finally, and most recently, is Sony's push to keep Activision out of Microsoft's hands, citing Call of Duty as the main swing in this decision. All of this leads back to the importance Sony is placing on their multiplayer game space and how locked into it they have become with their wallet. Now that I have laid out the receipts, allow me to explain why this is a bad thing for Sony. As many of you know, I love multiplayer games. I managed to mention Fortnite in almost every video. See? I just did it.
Oh wow, you did. That's crazy.
But when I think of Sony, I don't think of the wonderful multiplayer experiences I have had on my PlayStation. I think of the stories I've heard, characters I've met, places I've visited. The PlayStation is a storytelling console, and almost everyone who owns one owns it for those stories. Like I said in the receipts column, Sony has promised 10 live service or multiplayer games within the next 3 years. The problem with that is that they only own 19 studios, many of which are just fresh off of releases. Sony Santa Monica with God of War, Guerrilla with Call of the Wild, and Naughty Dog with The Last of Us, and also The Last of Us. I think they do that one a lot. Looking at their upcoming slate is kind of disappointing, and knowing that 10 of their remaining studios are focused on resource-sucking live service games lends to a bleak picture for the future of the storytelling console. These live service games might be great, although Sony's track record is terrible. Look no further than Killzone, Destruction All-Stars, or Godfall.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I know. But even if these experiences are top tier, Sony still has one gigantic problem. How can you create console-exclusive multiplayer games in the era of crossplay? Everyone wants to play with their friends, and no one wants to be locked onto one console. Why would I play Sony's hunting game alone when I can play EA's with all my friends? All successful multiplayer games have a through line of crossplay, and even great games that have failed still have had crossplay out of necessity. If PlayStation continues on their route of console-only releases, there will be virtually no way for them to build a stable player base on all of their live service games. Companies may say things, but they speak with their wallet, and PlayStation's card has been run a lot on multiplayer transactions. It's also obvious that PlayStation is focused on these live service experiments as they are playing it overly safe on the single player side, with sequel, remake being their biggest drops of this generation. It's easy to see how this direction is affecting their releases, and it's also scary from a money perspective as live service games are all but dying out as more and more get sent to the Radical Heights graveyard day by day. It all comes together to show that PlayStation is making a big mistake, and I just hope they notice it before it's too late.